We have long believed the dollar to be invincible. America has been the reserve fiat currency of the world for our lifetimes. Every other country has transacted in the reliable dollar. Every failing economy has rushed to convert their assets to the dollar for stability. But can the dollar maintain its vaulted status in a global recession or depression? Can the dollar maintain its reserve currency status through a pandemic, an unprecedented global slowdown, a trade war, closed borders, over 30 million people unemployed in the United States, a Federal Reserve that is flooding the economy with an avalanche of freshly printed dollars created seemingly out of thin air, and the rise of several other economies and currencies? Are we looking at global confidence leaving the dollar and moving to more reliable currencies? Where does that leave you when the dollar becomes worthless? Please consider subscribing to our newsletter to give you updates and membership-specific content. Visit www.cityprepping.com/newsletter or click on the link in the description and comments section below to subscribe today. Enjoy the video. If you're new to this channel, my name is Chris, and on this channel we discuss emergency preparedness and preparing for natural and man-made disasters. In this video, we will examine 5 currencies which will become greater in value when the dollar loses its value. I'm not a financial expert, and these videos are strictly for educational purposes. It's foolish for us to assume that the dollar will always hold its vaulted position against other fiat currencies, resources, and rising cryptocurrencies. If you're not following what's happening in our economy currently, you really should, as it is already impacting many at this very moment, as the value of the US dollar is slowly eroding away, and you should begin to make plans for what you'll do if the dollar completely loses its value entirely, something that is a possibility. To the prepper, currency comes in many forms and not just printed paper money and minted coins. Currency is a medium of exchange for goods and services, and that medium can change when economies collapse and printed money becomes worthless. So I'll share with you the 5 things I'm currently stocking up on. Some of these are for worst case scenarios, and some of these are just smart investments in my opinion based on my research. Again, when it comes to investments, I'm not a financial advisor, and I encourage you to do your own research. So let's look at these 5 items. Number 1, food. Of course, in the worst of possible scenarios where global economies have collapsed or tremendous natural disasters have hit, nothing is more valuable than the food sources you have safely stored. A mason jar full of beans, rice, or flour may be worth more than an ounce of gold. Food retains its liquidity, and it can be traded for almost anything you might need. When supplies run low, the value of this commodity becomes greater than any other item someone could possibly own in that moment. If you can't eat or feed your kids, what good is anything else that you own? It's important to remember your operational security, or OPSEC, when transacting or storing food. If people know you have supplies and they are truly desperate, you will have a target painted on yourself. Never reveal all your stores. Always make any food-based transactions away from your storage location and remain mindful of the desperation levels of others. Rice, beans, pastas, MREs, canned goods, freeze-dried foods, anything with a long shelf life and decent caloric content will be worth more than currency in any prolonged crisis or disaster. Make sure you have your storage levels high enough to sustain yourself, your family, and then extra parsed out for trading. I'll be doing videos in the coming weeks that will go into greater detail in regards to storing food and how much you should have. Number 2, precious metals. Precious metals have long been an insulation against inflation and a weak currency. When economies look to be faltering, you often see the rich rapidly throw their money into precious metals. As a result, this causes the price of precious metals to increase as the demand increases while the supply decreases, which you've seen play out over the last few weeks and months. However, the problem with precious metals for the prepper is one of liquidity. You can't go to the local store and trade an ounce of silver or a gold nugget for a loaf of bread. If your precious metals aren't stored with you, you may not even be able to access them at all. They are far from worthless though. Gold and silver have intrinsic value in people's minds. Minted silver rounds and gram to quarter ounce denominations of minted gold will still maintain partial value for individual trades. Many people ask in the comments sections of my videos and have emailed me asking why I recommend gold or silver if an economy may soon collapse. The answer is simple. If you're holding cash during a collapse, it will become worthless. Precious metals have what is called a store of value, which means they can store value while other items may not. Again, this is why you're seeing many people move toward precious metals here recently, as holding cash if an economy collapses will put you in a bad position. As I mentioned a moment ago, you'll have some limited ability to do exchanges with precious metals during a total economic collapse, but nowhere near the levels of what you purchase it for. But which would you rather have if the market collapses? $2,000 in cash, which will be practically worthless, or a 1-ounce gold piece that will allow you to do a transaction? And this is why I personally physically keep precious metals. Also, when economies do recover, either in the United States or elsewhere, silver and gold will allow you to directly reestablish yourself economically. While your stores of food will be less valuable after a recovery, your gold and silver will maintain value throughout a global economic downturn and through a recovery. The number one advantage of this is that you have a strong store of value that will allow you to rebound once things recover. I'll post a link in the description section below where I personally purchase my precious metals. Number 3, cryptocurrencies. The third critical currency to have in your prepper supplies is some cryptocurrency. At the moment, cryptocurrency, namely Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Link, constitute about 10% of my overall investment portfolio. Here, like the gold and silver minted coins, liquidity is the issue. You can't really go into a store and trade Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency for a loaf of bread. At least not at this moment, but that will soon change. However, if there is a large-scale migration away from the dollar, or if it collapses entirely, the US government will try to control the fall. They'll freeze people's ability to wire transfer money, and they'll close banks. It has happened before. So I personally chose to begin moving off the dollar, as I see it as a risky, problematic investment with an economy that is beginning to teeter on the brink of a recession and potentially an all-out collapse. Holding large amounts of cash exposes you to risk. So what is the value of cryptocurrency for a prepper? I see 3 main advantages. Cryptocurrency is decentralized. No bank can control it or manipulate it like the Fed is currently doing to the dollar. Number 2, store of value. Like precious metals, crypto allows you to move off the dollar and store your value of your currency in another form. While I realize those that may be hearing this for the first time may be completely confused, as I was when I first had this introduced to me, I would encourage you to begin to study it further. I'll post links to the resources that have helped me greatly when I first started out studying cryptocurrency. Number 3, I can transport it anywhere. Whereas precious metals, food, and other commodities have to be physically transported, as long as you have your crypto keys with you, you can back them up on a ledger or in a secure online vault or exchange. You can literally transport all your crypto assets anywhere. I realize many watching this part of the video will be completely confused by this information, and if you had told me about all these points even a month ago, I really wouldn't have understood a word of what you're saying. I'll post links to videos that served as a great starting point if you want to learn more about this technology. I personally believe blockchain and cryptocurrency will have a profound impact on our world economies in the near future, and you need to at least be up to speed on this technology. Many investment agencies and individuals have started announcing their move to Bitcoin in the last several months as both an investment vehicle and a store of value. Now that I've got my head wrapped around it and I've spent the last month studying it, I understand why they're doing this. So point number 4, extra gear. If the idea of precious metals and cryptocurrency is one that you consider too risky, remember that survival gear will be highly sought after if there is an all-out collapse. Like we saw in this last panic when the pandemic started, people realized that supplies were about to become limited after the fact. If a true collapse occurs and people realize that they need an axe, they won't find any. So if you have an extra or a couple extra, you have a tangible good to trade with. Your extra gear is a rich commodity. Fishing poles, ammo, hunting supplies, survival knives, water filters, medicines, fire starters, lighters, feminine hygiene products, first aid supplies, zip ties, tarps, leatherwork gloves, reading glasses, duct tape, candle wax, paracord, soap, toothbrushes, and the list goes on and on and on. If you have a good supply of any one of these items, you will be able to trade surplus for other items you may need. Gear is currency when the dollar becomes worthless and the economy is down for an extended period of time. Remember the old adage, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. The more of a valuable item you have that will be in high demand and short supply, the more you will have to trade for other essentials to get you through. Number 5, renewable resources. Finally, any renewable resource you can bring to bear will provide you a currency. A mini Sawyer water filter can purify up to 100,000 gallons of water, and it will provide you with 100,000 trading opportunities. A solar generator for charging will provide you a consistent stream of customers seeking to charge their essential equipment. Knowing how to set up a trap to hunt with or a catfish trap in the river will provide you meat to trade with. Knowing how to and having the space to garden will provide you a renewable source of food to trade with. Your sourdough starter or fermentation skills will be precious when yeast or alcohol can't be found. Any form of renewable resource becomes a priceless commodity during a prolonged economic crisis. Take a critical look at your knowledge and skills, just like you critically look at your supplies. What can you bring to the table in a collapse? What can you produce that people will still want? How can you keep your value high through what you produce while normal economic means become worthless? Can you retain value through sustainable production of some kind? Can you cultivate one of your skills to produce tradable, tangible goods? Any renewable resource you can provide, which is in short supply, will be valuable through an economic crisis. We don't know the future of the US dollar and the reserve currency of the world. Every day it seems that it is being artificially propped up, and that may indicate a potential future collapse. The poet Robert Frost wrote that nothing gold can stay. To presume that the dollar will forever retain its vaulted place as the world's reserve currency is foolish. The threats of the dollar's position and the dominance are very real, and we should prepare ourselves for the possibility of its rapid, maybe even overnight decline. It's a very different world than the Great Depression, years of the 1930s, but we are facing similar economic downturns, unemployment, and looming evictions and foreclosures. If confidence in the dollar continues to erode, a cascading erosion of value could occur. Prepare yourself through these 5 outlined alternate forms of currency. Choose the ones right for you and the area you live in. While I don't have a crystal ball, I've done my best to try to advise this community of the many threats that I've seen coming over the horizon, and have tried to provide useful information so you can prepare. The economy is weighing heavily on people's minds right now, and rightfully so. You need to position yourself in the best way possible. If nothing happens, then you own valuable assets that will serve as a solid store of value and potentially solid investments. If you enjoyed this video, please click on the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you can get these timely updates as we release them. As always, stay safe out there.